I'm going to show you something that has not been released publicly yet, so don't share the URL with all your friends. Okay. I'll show you, first of all, another URL that you can go to. It is public. Oops. Or. That's really very good. Or. Can't be org. It's nice that Google knows who we are. Let me show you something else. Okay, since this is Chrome, this is the Google search box, right? If I put full text patent search, turns out that there's a multi-billion-dollar industry in understanding and finding intellectual property. Multi-billion. Actually, probably closer to 100. How about that? Look at this. Patent lens. It turns out, no matter what country you search it from, the top two, these are by the way paid, so ignore them, after the US Patent and Trademark Office are us. That's our organization. Patent Lens is one of our work products. For the last 4 or 5 years, a little team of 6 developers, a good IP specialist, and a couple of irritating visionaries have put together what's now, together with the USPTO, the most popular patent search site in the world. So we're turning it off in 2 months. And we're turning it off to replace it with something that's about 1,000 times better. I was telling you about visualization of the jigsaw being a critical tool for any business, no matter how small, no matter how venal, you got to look at the picture. Well, that's a lens. We need to apply a lens over the innovation world. So we've set out to develop what we call the lens, modestly. It's not a patent lens because patents are an entry point. Other pieces of the puzzle could include regulatory compliance, capital recruitment, legal liabilities, manufacturing expertise. This picture is going to be complicated, but it's only going to start when we assemble the pieces together. So what we set out to do was to bring in every piece of intellectual property disclosure in the world in one digital public good. Not make money with it, because Thomson Reuters is doing that just fine. We're trying to do it for free, more than free. We're trying to do it where anyone can contribute to make it a more useful resource for anyone else. Because if you think about it, every time we make it cheaper to innovate, we benefit society and you as entrepreneurs. The only people that do not benefit from that are very large corporations that benefit from having big entry barriers and the information gatekeepers themselves. And an economist would call that rent. So we are removing the rents in the innovation system. So we're developing the lens. About 4 years ago, we stopped our biotechnology work, hung up our lab coats, threw away our pipettes, and focused completely on developing a global resource, a platform that anyone can use and add value to, that will have all languages in the world, looking at all patents in the world, linked to all the available science and technology information in the world. Now, we're not all the way there. We've got 100 million records. We are cooperating with and funded by the US Patent and Trademark Organization, by the World Intellectual Property Organization. I sit on a panel at the World Economic Forum that has the heads of most of the important patent offices, and they want to make this work too. So it turns out that the ones that want the patents to be an opaque system are the clergy. The ones that need it to be transparent so we can put this picture together at an affordable price point are us. So looking at the 2 of those communities, which one do I come down on the side of? It's the us. So if you look on the lens, what Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation decided to fund us to do is help create this platform. And I'm going to show you how we did it in the next 2 minutes, and then I'll quit. Oops. If you put into the search box, there are 3 entry points. I'm not going to go through it. Malaria vaccine. It's searching through about 100 million documents here in 80 jurisdictions. And this describes, and I don't expect you to see it, it shows you a collection of patent documents that are associated in one way or another with the malaria vaccine. Now, an important part of the lens is we should be able to visualize those documents, the inventors of the documents, the jurisdictions, publications by year, the applicants, whether they have DNA sequences, the lengths, the types of documents, and more importantly, we should be able to drill through to any of these. So let's just take this one because it's an easy one, the US jurisdiction, bang. Then we can look at publications per year. Ooh, that's a big change. We can look at the applicants. Who's the principal applicant? Human Genome Sciences. What a surprise. Genentech. And then some individuals. Squib. What's interesting about this is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is not associated with a company known for its openness. I mean, Microsoft was never a big proponent in its development of what might be considered open standards or much of open anything. So why would Gates himself be promoting an initiative for opening the innovation system and making it efficient? It's because he's a business person. And looking at philanthropy He's saying, what are the impediments to getting it out the door, to work? He doesn't care about career development of Harvard scientists or ANU or Canberra University scientists. He couldn't care less. He wants to see vaccines that work for children that are in threat of serious disease. He wants to see crops that produce more and better outcomes. If it doesn't do that, there's no partial credit, like in business. There's no partial credit if your product doesn't get out and work. It's the same in good philanthropy. So he's thinking, what are the frictions? What are the problems in my investment as a philanthropist? And the same could be said for public sector investment in public science. What are the problems in getting it out the door? The problems, the biggest problems, are frictions and opacities. They're the risks that we should be able to avoid by knowing more about it, and we don't. So the logic of getting a tool by which public and private sector can understand the scope of the jigsaw puzzle. Where are the missing pieces? What is the real proper valuation of the piece of the puzzle? That is really important. So in about 2 months, this is going to live. So you're seeing it first. It's an early stage product. It's going to be growing enormously. We just got a grant from the Moore Foundation, which is Moore's Law. The founder of Intel has put some money into this. Gates has, Lemelson Foundation. We never had funding from the Australian government, but that's just because we've been here for 20 years. I might have the wrong accent. And you may say, why is this company, this institution, Cambia, as a nonprofit, a global nonprofit social enterprise, why is it based in Australia? Well, I look around the demographic here, and I realize there's probably at least 2/3 of the faces are from Asia, originally, by genetic provenance. So are, in fact, the majority of the world's potential innovators. So are most of the world's rice growers. So when we moved here 20 years ago, it's because CSIRO and the ANU had a critical mass of the greatest agricultural scientists in the southern hemisphere, right here in Canberra, which is in the same time zone as most of you who make Skype work when you're calling home, as most of the world's population. So during a working day, I could call my friends at the Chinese Academy of Sciences or in Tsukuba, or I could call my friends in Bogor. Well, they're at work and I'm at work, so someone pays the bills besides me at home. So that's really important. That's why Australia mattered, and that's why we moved here, because half the world's innovative population in real time wakes up more or less when we do, and goes to bed more or less a little later than we do. That's why they're so darn good. So we have an opportunity to leverage this enablement very well. So we're talking to the Chinese patent authorities, the Chinese Academy of Agricultural Science, the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Chief Scientist of Japan is on our advisory council. The idea of leveraging this into all languages so that in the next year we have a facility that is truly global and free so that it can achieve a far better business outcome for society. In other words, cheaper innovation, better innovation, and the single most important feature, more diverse innovation. More people playing the game of being entrepreneurs who have skin in the game, who care about the outcome of their farm, who care about the outcome of their industry, their employment opportunities. That's going to be where social enterprise and entrepreneurs meet in a beautiful way by enabling people who are not us to be very successful. The final point about an exit strategy I want to leave when I quit is that a good social enterprise tries to go away. Most businesses, everybody talks about growth. We talk about going away. We want to drive ourselves into oblivion by being unnecessary. So once you set an objective, the goal is not to perpetually drive towards that objective. The goal is to achieve it. So if I'm going after something that's unobtainable, well, that's good. You'll be busy for a long time. If you go after something like social justice in a particular part of the world, that may well be unobtainable. But, if you say, adequate food for this community in this particular part of the world is my goal, you should achieve it and go away. Do something else. So that's what a social enterprise brings to the table that's very different than most businesses. Most businesses want to be successful by persisting or getting a huge financial exit strategy and starting over again. Social enterprises want to go away because the outcome is achieved. So that's what I'll leave you with. The idea of leveraging this, turning the me into a we. Challenge yourself not to think about what you want to do in your vision, to say, instead, is my vision incorporating other people enough? Is there enough generosity of spirit in my equation to have fun, produce a decent income, a decent family, I drive a car that works, I'm okay. You don't have to get rich. Getting rich is way overrated. You don't get happy when you get rich, but you can get rich if you're happy. So I would recommend you think hard about social enterprise. Google the phenomenon, learn about it. There are some incredible exemplars out there that will inspire you and give you business models that are so creative, so much different than a conventional startup. And yet, it can have all of the same skills in that mix. So thanks for your time and your attention.